No mai haramaya te whānau, namahinu kia kōrera, Howard, Amelia, and Lee. It's an honour and a privilege to be speaking to you all today. Welcome to Aotearoa, the name of our country in Te Reo Māori, the language of the indigenous Māori people. Aotearoa means land of the long white cloud. Ko Waio, ko Pangaru Tokamanga, ko Matati Toka Awa, ko Tamatea Toka Marae, ko Ngāpui Toka Iwi, ko Takatapui Toka Wairua, ko Tapuhi Toka Mahi, ko Rurihi Toka Ingoa. Kia ora koutou. My name's Louise. I'm a nurse practitioner candidate based in Aotearoa, New Zealand. I have been a mental health nurse by background for over 20 years, and this year started training to be a nurse practitioner. So hopefully, fingers crossed, by the end of this year, I will finish my training and be able to progress in supporting all of our families and our patients as a nurse practitioner. I'd like to introduce my colleague and friend, Sarah, to introduce herself.
Kia ora and hello. I'm Sarah Williams, as Louise has said, and I'm really delighted to be here today to co-present alongside Louise. I was born and raised in the United Kingdom, which you can probably tell by my accent, and I came to live in New Zealand 30 years ago. I'm married to a Kiwi and have had my two children here. And my background is in paediatric nursing, and I currently work as a senior lecturer for the Auckland University of Technology here in New Zealand. I teach and supervise across the undergraduate and postgraduate nursing program here. And I'm also involved in research at the university and a member of the New Zealand Nursing Council Professional Conduct Committee. So Aotearoa, for those of you who don't know, Aotearoa, New Zealand, consists of two islands. The North Island, which is known as Te Ika Maui, which means the fish of Maui, and the South Island, which is known as Te Waipunamu, which means the waters of greenstone. Louise and I, as you can see on the little map there, we both live in Te Ika Maui, the North Island. But I'm up at the top in Auckland, and Louise is down at the bottom near Wellington, near our capital, Wellington. Thanks, Louise.
Aotearoa, New Zealand is a bicultural country. We acknowledge the land of our indigenous Māori people. In Te Reo Māori, the Māori language, whakawhanonatanga is about building relationships and making connections. Whakawhanonatanga creates a sense of belonging and helps people to work together for a common purpose. Our connection with KASN, both Sarah and I, began with our involvement in the International Council of Nursing Global Nursing Leadership Institute programme, as previously mentioned by Howard and Amelia. Through the ICN, we met President Lee and many of the other KASN board members. Is it possible to unmute Sarah?
Okay, thank you. I'm not able to unmute myself, unfortunately, so sorry about that, everyone. So moving on to the current work streams that are happening that we know of, and we'll circle back to that in a little bit further down our presentation. Whilst we appreciate the broad scope in advancing nursing care, we have very immediate needs in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And in our brief presentation, we've chosen to focus our lens on the use of technology and informatics in both nursing education and in the clinical setting. Post-COVID, as I know you'll all be aware here, there's been an acceleration in the data and digital space, and that's true in New Zealand too. Health informatics here in New Zealand is an increasing area of development as we work towards a collective goal of equitable access to healthcare. And with respect to nursing informatics specifically, a combination of computer science, information science, and nursing science assists in the management of processing of nursing data here, information and knowledge to support nursing practice. And examples of current work in this field, particularly in relation to undergraduate nursing education, include increasing computer literacy skills for nursing students, learning management systems. We have systems which maybe you might be familiar with too, such as Blackboard, Moodle, Stream, and ePortfolios. And we use simulated patients using high fidelity computer assisted mannequins, both in the tertiary education space, but also in the inpatient space for professional development. And we've also in some areas been using mixed reality, the Microsoft HoloLens Health headset and HoloPatient application to create scenarios for our nurses. And more recently, there's been a project that's been happening around the use of the AI in helping to create clinical scenarios, which is exciting, and providing students with opportunities to develop their clinical reasoning skills before entering clinical practice is foundational to safe nursing practice. And the use of some of the aforementioned modalities enables students to learn and practice clinical skills prior to their placements in a real-life setting. In New Zealand, one of the problems that we have is there is increased competition for clinical placements. And because of this, time available to spend in the clinical setting is often limited in the undergraduate programme. And therefore ensuring our students are well prepared for placement is paramount. So these tools that we're using and continuing to develop are really helpful in that space.
Moving from nursing education into the clinical setting, there are a number of areas that we are using health informatics, nursing informatics, and ICT. So one of the areas that has been driven forward greatly post-COVID is telehealth. And a lot of our areas in our urban, rural, remote areas, we have nurses now using telehealth, so video conferencing. So exactly like we're doing now, there would be a nurse practitioner or a doctor at the other end of Zoom. There would be the nurse and the patient all separately in the meeting, and the assessment would take place in that way. We've used this a lot in our mental health, our psychiatry practice, when we can't get a psychiatrist or a specialist to a certain area, so that we can access our patients and increase that equitable access. A lot of our nurses are using mobile apps and remote monitoring devices. So the presentation from President Lee around the LTE device, some of our remote monitoring devices similar to that with stethoscopes and other appliances are used remotely to be able to monitor and assess patients. This also provides education and the ability to manage chronic conditions with less access. Care planning and coordination and electronic health records. So many healthcare facilities in Aotearoa, New Zealand have implemented electronic health record systems. So this allows us to access patient notes and document our findings, access diagnostic testing, laboratory results on the go, in patients' homes, in different community settings, so that we have up-to-date access for being able to assess and support our patients. Health information exchange. So there is a exponential increase in health informatics within Aotearoa New Zealand. And we have health information exchange systems which allow for the secure sharing of patient information between different providers, so we can have rapid, instant access to that information and pass that to our colleagues. Nursing documentation, as mentioned, we're using different tools to develop and implement standardised nursing documentation, ensuring consistency and accuracy in documenting patient care. These systems may include the electronic nursing notes, care plans, and nursing assessment. Nursing informatics also helps facilitate patient engagement, increases equitable access to healthcare, universal healthcare, and education through different online portals, mobile apps, and educational resources.
Thanks, Louise. So where to from here? It was a really interesting exercise actually preparing for today. And one of the things that we have found in New Zealand is there's a lot of work going on, but it's quite siloed, it's quite separate, it's difficult to get information. Some amazing work has been going on, but it's hard to know. This work isn't always visible to everybody, which is a shame. So for us, we feel that it's really important that we complete an audit of current activity within the scope of nursing informatics in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And as part of today, we did manage to connect with some real leaders in this space. So we're thrilled about that, and they're very keen to sort of come on board and talk to us more. So for us, this audit will include identifying who these current leaders are in nursing informatics and technology in New Zealand. It's not easy to find that information. Collaboration with national special interest groups, review of the undergraduate nursing curriculum content around nursing informatics. A few years ago in New Zealand, there was a drive to really include much more around nursing informatics in the undergraduate program. And as I work in the university space, I'm going to be really interested to kind of follow up where that's gone and where that's sitting, and how much of that are we actually doing. And doing a literature search and share also of things that are relevant to New Zealand. And we feel that doing this will really help us to initiate collaborative working going forward, and hopefully support the work, the valuable work that KASN is setting out to do.
We'd really like to acknowledge at this point Emma Collins and Stacey Simpson, who are both experts in this field within Aotearoa New Zealand, and thank them for their contribution to this presentation. There are many leading experts in the field of nursing informatics within Aotearoa New Zealand, and as Sarah said, we will be seeking their knowledge and guidance in supporting future KASN initiatives. Tēnā rawa atou katoa. We would like to close with a whakatauki. A whakatauki is in our te reo Māori, our Indigenous Māori language. We either open or close with a whakatauki, and it's a well-wishing going forward for our whole group. E hara taku toa I te toa takitahi, engari e toa takitini. My strength does not come from me alone, but also from others. Tēnā koutou katoa. It's been our absolute honour and privilege. Ngā mihi nui.